I don't work for the federal government, so I don't actually think this federal government shutdown is going to affect me, right? Well, that would be wrong.
And just so you know, the expectancy of how long this federal government shutdown was supposed to last was 3 days. 3 days. And now it's doubled.
The government is officially shut down. So what happens next? And why might this year be unlike any shutdown we've seen before?
The president is saying that some 750,000 federal workers who are currently furloughed may not get back pay.
And let me tell you something. Y'all want people to work for free and life already hard?
If federal employees end up getting screwed out of back pay, you can file a complaint in the U.S. Court of Federal Claims.
Breaking news coming out of the White House. This just coming down moments ago, and it's involving the government shutdown.
Last year, TSA officers found almost 7,000 guns. Right, and 94% were loaded.
And keep in mind that government workers don't only live in Washington, D.C. They live all over the country.
I'm a federal employee. I've worked over 28 years with the National Park Service. I'm furloughed right now due to the government shutdown.
That us service members aren't getting paid are the people that are getting paid. Because just for the record, our bills don't stop.
You're going on vacation soon. I hope it's not to a national park or the Smithsonian or the National Zoo, because all of those are closed. I hope you got travel insurance.
If history is any indication, they may start calling in sick, and then the lines at your airport could start to grow.
13,000 air traffic controllers are now working without pay.
Would you like to work and not get paid? Would you like to wake up every day and not be incentivized to do so? Would you like to do that? And then have to do your job not knowing when you will get paid. Mind you, the bills don't stop when a shutdown happens. So these people are not getting paid. A lot of people are already working paycheck to paycheck today. And for them to not get paid, the bills don't stop. So that's an added stress to their lives. I can empathize with them. It just seems like a lot of people can't. And that's disheartening.
I don't work for the federal government, so I don't actually think this federal government shutdown is going to affect me, right? Well, that would be wrong. So let's walk through some of the ways this shutdown is going to affect you personally. One, we know that a number of federal employees are going to be furloughed. Some may even be laid off, according to the Trump administration. However, there's also going to be a whole bunch of essential workers who are expected to work with no pay. That's likely going to increase the chances that they're either going to take some time off because they're not getting paid anyway, or they're not exactly going to be doing their best work. So you should definitely expect these staffing shortages to make air travel a lot more annoying over the next few weeks. If you need a passport anytime in the next few months, you're definitely going to want to get moving on that, especially because even after this shutdown is over, there's still going to be a backlog that they have to catch up on. National parks and museums are either going to close altogether or they're going to be operating with really limited services. So don't be looking for like bathrooms, for trash cans to be emptied, for a welcome center to be open. SNAP and WIC will function as first, but if the shutdown is extended, then they could be cut off. And while people will still receive benefits like Social Security and Medicare, they may not be able to get customer service if they're having any issues. If you're a small business waiting on an SBA loan, don't hold your breath because those approvals are paused right now. And that's going to impact job creation in your community. If you're a home buyer waiting on an approval for your FHA or VA loan, those are also going to be paused right now, which is going to upend the real estate market. And then, of course, all of this instability and uncertainty is likely to put job creation on hold. If you're in, say, a community that gets a lot of your business from a military base nearby or from like tourists at the national park in your community, you're not going to have those people in and they're not going to be spending as much. So that could impact small businesses in your area. And all this instability and uncertainty means that companies are going to be less willing to make investments and create jobs during this period of time. And none of this actually takes into account some of the other steps that the administration might take to try to get a deal as quickly as possible that could impact you as well. So every single American will certainly be impacted by the federal government shutdown in some capacity.
Breaking news coming out of the White House. This just coming down moments ago, and it's involving the government shutdown. The government shutdown is still going on, but a lot of people were concerned about the WIC program. That's the Women, Infants, and Children, the money that was going to fund that program. President Trump is now funding it. Well, how is he doing that? He is doing that from the money that he has gained, that the United States has gained from tariffs, from the increase in tariffs. He just announced that a short time ago. Make sure you're following me right here for the very latest breaking news as I get it.
It is day 7 of the government shutdown, and President Trump has now issued a new threat. The president is saying that some 750,000 federal workers who are currently furloughed may not get back pay. That's how it typically works during a government shutdown. You got two buckets of people, right? You have essential workers who are told to come to work and not get paid. And then you have workers that are told to stay home and that they would get back pay once the government reopened. And that's not the only threat that the president has issued. He has also threatened to fire federal workers. He says that could happen in 4 or 5 days. We've been talking to federal workers about the impact of all of this. Many of them are left wondering if they will get paid or even if they will have a job when all of this is over.
I had some interesting comments on my last video in regards to, specifically the furloughed workers, the government shutdown. So I wanted to share some additional videos of people where we can just show the humanity behind the shutdown. Like, of course, we all see that it's in the news. We see that it's a hot topic, but this is really impacting people's lives.
Hear me out. Hear me out. The only people who don't give a fuck that us service members aren't getting paid are the people that are getting paid. Because just for the record, our bills don't stop. We still got daycare, we still got mortgages, we still got rent, we still got car notes, we still got light bills, and y'all not trying to help us pay for it. But y'all got so many opinions on this app. So freaking many. So how about you cash some opinions in and run me some money dance?
Regardless of how you feel about the government shutdown and who's to blame, people's livelihoods are at stake. And like one of the ladies said in the previous video, she said that even though these federal workers are not getting paid, Congress members are still getting paid, the president is still getting paid while the government is shut down. There are lots of other essential workers that have to work without pay. Just think about that. Think about that. Would you like to work and not get paid?
Hey everybody, James here again. As most of you know, I'm a federal employee. I've worked over 28 years with the National Park Service. I'm furloughed right now due to the government shutdown, and I just wanted to make a few comments about that. I could be at work right now serving the American people. God knows I have plenty of work to do at the parks. Parks have been understaffed and underfunded for years. There's billions of dollars of deferred maintenance that's been put off due to the lack of staff and money. If I was at work right now, I'd be doing my job. Especially here where I live, we're on the eve of leaf season. Fall color season's upon us. It's our busiest time of the year at the Parkway, the Blue Ridge Parkway. And I'm not there. And there's a lot of other employees that aren't there either. Park is going to be overrun with people, and nobody is hardly there to police it. There's hardly anybody there to pick up the trash, to clean the restrooms. Law enforcement's short-staffed. If somebody needs rescuing or somebody's doing something illegal, there's not going to be enough law enforcement to enforce the rules and laws in the park. I also want to mention and discuss federal employees. We've been cast out as lazy, worthless, and we've already lost a bunch of people in the Park Service and other agencies because of the deferred resignation program and through voluntary, retirements and whatnot. And now Trump is threatening mass layoffs, permanent layoffs to the federal workforce. American people need to wake up. We work for you, the American public. This is your government. These are the services we provide, which are many. Everything from cutting your Social Security check to inspecting your food, to making sure our roads are safe, to making sure when you get on an airplane, you're going to reach your destination without crashing, and on, people.
Why would we want people not getting paid? I even had someone say, yes, let all of them lose their jobs and get on welfare. Does that make sense? So do you want the people to work or do you want them to not work? I don't know.
Y'all, this government shutdown is really no joke, and it is really, truly affecting a lot of federal government workers, to include myself and my husband. We are both federal government, but we had a meeting, and there were people asking, like, is there a letter or something that we can give to our creditors and, to our mortgage companies and to show that we won't be getting paid. And it really hit me like, damn, like this is so real. Like I'm literally a part of that community that is literally being affected by the government shutdown. So To those people and to all of my federal government workers, hang in there. It's going to get better. It has to get better. And this too shall pass.
These roles that are being furloughed are scientists, they are lawyers, they are customer service, architects, they are IT professionals, they are all types of people. Everybody deserves to get paid when they work. Everybody does.
In the event that you've been living under a rock, I am here to inform all of the American people that we are now day 6 into the federal shutdown, into the government shutdown of 2025. And just so you know, the expectancy of how long this federal government shutdown was supposed to last was 3 days. 3 days. And now it's doubled. Doubled. All right, getting straight into it. You already know if you are a federal worker, you weren't getting paid. Federal workers, essential workers, a lot of them were not getting paid, right? They were to be put on furlough. But here's the thing. The White House just sent out a memo letting people know that that back pay is not guaranteed. And at this point, you should already know that I'm known for the receipts. I comes with the receipts, all right? Right there in bold, White House memo argues furloughed workers not guaranteed back pay, okay? And to be honest, they're just letting you know exactly what they plan on doing. They're not going to be paying people. They're not going to be paying people, okay? And I'm going to be reading the first paragraph from that article, right? It states that a draft memo from the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, right, is raising the possibility that furloughed federal workers may not be entitled to back pay from their time during the government shutdown.
Hi, Deborah D'Agostino with the Federal Practice Group here. I'm an attorney who represents federal employees. I got a lot of questions today about the statement from the administration that they don't believe that the 2019 law passed for the sole purpose of making sure that any furloughed workers do get back pay, does not require them to pay furloughed workers back pay. The language of the statute, it's 31 USC 1341, if anyone wants to look it up, is pretty unambiguous. It states that each employee furloughed shall be paid for the period of the lapse in appropriations, subject to the enactment of appropriations ending the lapse. So I don't see how you have appropriations ending the lapse that don't kick this law into gear. The administration is saying that somehow Congress also has to specifically say that they are allowing for back pay in this appropriation. That's not the intent of the law. It's not in the language of the law. If federal employees end up getting screwed out of back pay, you can file a complaint in the U.S. Court of Federal Claims. I'm confident that my law firm will be taking those cases if that happens. I'm really hoping it doesn't, but there will be relief if they do try to pull that stunt.
But wait, there's more. So the government shutdown has now hit air travel. Yes, there are air traffic controllers, right, at California that just did not go to work. They stopped going to work. And before y'all get on them, right, because you expect people to work without pay, how the fuck is they getting there? How? What gas money? You know, to get to the airport, you have to pay tolls. With what money? Not just that. This government shutdown hit on the 1st. October 1st, when people have to pay their bills, their insurance, their car note, everything. Everything. And you mean to tell me my next paycheck is not guaranteed? So if I'm already somebody who lives paycheck to paycheck, I can't even live because I need the paycheck. And I'm not getting the paycheck. And now this administration just stated that my furlough, my back pay is not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed at all. They're actually arguing that. But getting back into the whole air traffic news, right? The air travel news. So you can go on CBS News. Government shutdown live updates is there, where California airport goes without air traffic controllers due to staff shortage. But it's really people can't pay. They can't afford to go to work. They can't afford to go to work. We're now in a time where not only are there more unemployed people than there are available jobs, but now the federal available jobs people cannot afford to get to. They cannot afford to get to work. So more shit goes undone in this country. The FAA delays flights due to traffic air control staffing issues. So flights are delayed. This is also affecting Newark. So people in New Jersey, it's also affecting that airport as well. The tower where that back and forth is done between the people working in there and the pilots, coordinating departure, that's closed. that's closed. Just reading, okay? Just reading. Listen. 12 Federal Aviation Administration facilities saw staffing shortages on Monday night. The control towers in Burbank, Phoenix, and Denver had so-called staffing triggers. They put it in quotations. I don't know why. Y'all know exactly what the fuck is going on. But anyway, reported in the public FAA operations plan. Other facilities that handle air traffic around airports like Newark, New Jersey, Jacksonville, Florida, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and Indianapolis are all short-staffed. And this is probably not the best way to end the video, but I feel like I have a duty to let you guys know. So starting last week, farms have actually started closing, right? Because they don't have no workers. And the U.S. border policy has threatened to empty the shelves.
You know, they also mentioned the TSA workers and the long line. So if you have a vacation coming up, you have a business trip, if there's something that you have to do in the near future that involves TSA, just realize that it may be delayed. It may be delayed. Somebody said you need to take out travel insurance just in case. So if you are planning to book a trip, think about that.
So it's not fair that TSA officers are put in this situation, which seems like every couple months now because of the budget. TSA officers, we work in a high stress job and we're trained to work in a stressful environment. But to add to their stress, have them worrying about how they're going to get paid, pay their bills, feed their families, isn't fair. Last year, TSA officers found almost 7,000 guns, right? And 94% were loaded. They have to
Wait
be
a
on
minute.
top
Can
of
you
their
say
game.
that again? 7,000 guns, and how many were
Almost
loaded?
7,000. 94% of them were 94% were loaded.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have to be on top of our game, right? You know, and we don't need the
I'd like that very much.
stress of missing pay. Yeah, right. So the risk of a possible security event gets higher and higher as this goes on because of the added stress, right? Like so the air traffic controllers aren't getting paid also. So you have the officers checking your bags for weapons, right? And the air traffic controllers all worried about when they're going to get paid. I wouldn't want to fly in that situation. I won't want to fly if the pilot wasn't getting paid.
Listen, if you're flying today, tomorrow, next week, you probably won't see an impact yet at an airport near you. TSA officers are on the job. However, if they go without one paycheck or maybe two paychecks, if history is any indication, they may start calling in sick, and then the lines at your airport could start to grow.
13,000 air traffic controllers are now working without pay. Even more stress after years of mandatory overtime, with the FAA trying to hire more controllers and overhaul antiquated technology. During the 2019 shutdown, some controllers called out sick after 2 missed paychecks.
I wouldn't be surprised if it takes, another 20 to 30 minutes before we become airborne.
When flight delays began to mount, President Trump called off the shutdown. This morning, one veteran controller tells NBC News, "I think we're going to have a lot of controllers who are not going to be able to make it to work during the shutdown." 50,000 TSA officers are also working without a paycheck this morning. Average pay $45,000 to $50,000.
The federal government didn't clock in today, but I did. So here's how the government shutdown is going to impact you and your wallet. First and foremost, federal workers not getting a paycheck during this time period. Either you're going to be sent home or you're going to be asked to come in, but you're just not going to be paid. One of the biggest ways this impacts regular people is at the airport. Turns out TSA agents don't like coming to work when they're not being paid, which makes sense, but that does mean longer lines for you. And frankly, the FAA is already down bad. Any other funding lapses could really put it in a bad spot. Next, onto something lighter, SNAP benefits. USDA funds cover SNAP benefits for about a month into a shutdown, but any longer than that, and we might run out of funding. The longest government shutdown in history is 35 days, and it was under this same administration, but just last time. And this becomes a bigger issue because when these vulnerable populations can't get these basic necessities, they're going to have to take out extra debt, either through the form of a predatory payday loan or even just putting these charges on a credit card with a high interest rate. But maybe you're still optimistic, you're going on vacation soon. I hope it's not to a national park or the Smithsonian or the National Zoo because all of those are closed. I hope you got travel insurance. And I have to talk about housing. HUD programs and housing assistance may be disrupted for low-income families. FHA loans may take longer to process and approve, meaning first-time homebuyers could miss out on the dream home. Simply put, a government shutdown leads to more market volatility and economic instability. With the worst part being, low-income communities will suffer the most while the president and Congress continue to get paid during this time.
And let me tell you something. Y'all want people to work for free and life already hard? Who gonna work for free and life already hard? Nobody's going to do that. Quit playing with me. Y'all gonna call this government shutdown and you think people gonna work for free? Let me be in air traffic control. The first day y'all said, government shutdown, I will not be there. I would have told my boss, I'm sorry, I'm telling you now, I'm calling in. I will not be there until they come back, because unless I'm getting paid. You think somebody gonna go sit at a stressful job? That job is stressful. They gotta make sure everybody in the air is safe. They gotta wake up early in the morning. They doing all kind of 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And you think somebody go be stressed out and not get paid? This is a ripple effect. I want y'all to understand what is happening. It is a ripple effect that is going to hit the economy. This is going on day 6, day 7 of them not working in the government now. And now you have the Burbank, 0 people then showed up. They didn't have so many call-ins. Ain't nobody. I would have been the first one, first day. Because who working for free? I'm still on that. Who working for free? You gotta spend your gas. Some people work 30 minutes away. You gotta get up in the morning, spend your gas, have your lunch money. Who's doing that? Who's doing that again? In this economy, people pinching pennies to feed their families. And y'all talking about government shutdown and all these people. You think these people gonna work for free? No. So now it's not just affecting the traffic controller jobs, but anybody who works at the airports, it is going to begin to affect them because so many flights are being canceled. It's going to affect the pilots. It's going to affect all the way through down the line, in which it will begin to affect our economy and other industries.
So not only are the federal workers impacted or will be impacted if this continues on for a long span of time, other people that you may know may be impacted as well. There's a bigger picture. Take a look at this video.
The government is officially shut down. So what happens next? And why might this year be unlike any shutdown we've seen before? First off, non-essential government work is on hold, meaning most people will not feel an impact right away. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and SNAP benefits are not stopping. Mail is still being delivered. TSA and air traffic controllers will report to work. The National Weather Service is still providing its routine forecast. FEMA will still be available if there is an emergency or disaster, although the disaster relief fund is low and needs congressional approval for additional funds. There could be a partial or full closure of all 433 national parks for the duration of the shutdown, but some states could fund to keep them open during the shutdown. While these services do not stop, the workers within those agencies will be furloughed and out of work, and their benefits could be delayed. Essential workers, employees whose roles the government deems crucial for day-to-day services, such as air traffic controllers, will work without pay, but will receive back pay once the government reopens. The only federal employees that will continue to get paid are members of Congress and the president, although they can choose to defer their paychecks during the shutdown, like what Congressman Eugene Vidman said he would do. But this shutdown might be a little different than the previous ones the country has faced. The Trump administration is looking to use this shutdown as an opportunity for mass layoffs, potentially cutting the federal workforce by thousands of jobs. The longer the shutdown goes on, the more you'll feel its impact. Essential workers could not show up for work or call out sick. And if that happens with TSA workers and air traffic controllers, you could face longer delays at the airport and flight cancellations. Let's say this happens with Medicaid and Medicare. Well, recipients could face longer processing times and lapses in services. Basically, the longer this shutdown goes, the more likely it will impact your day-to-day life.
So the government is shut down. What does that mean for you? Essentially, that any customer service level interaction that you need to have with the federal government will be impacted. And that's according to Matt Glassman, who is a senior fellow at the Government Affairs Institute at Georgetown University. Now, this is because a lot of government workers will be furloughed, meaning they will not be permitted to work. And some essential workers will still have to go to work, but they might not get paid until the government is funded again, which will cost taxpayers money. Now, you won't have to worry if you're traveling because airport workers and TSA are essential workers. However, if they protest and don't show up to work because they're not getting paid immediately, you could see some issues at the airports. Entitlement programs like Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, those will continue to work throughout a government shutdown. But remember what Glassman said about customer service. If agencies like that furlough workers, you could see some customer service issues, and it could be harder to enroll in newer benefits. Now, national parks might be closed. They were in 2013. And while they stayed open during the 2018 and 2019 shutdowns, they were understaffed, and that led to, unfortunately, vandalism and, again, some issues with visitor services. And other agencies will be impacted. During the last two shutdowns, agencies like the SEC and FTC had to put some investigations on pause, and the DOJ said that they had to pause 60,000 immigration hearings. And keep in mind that government workers don't only live in Washington, D.C., they live all over the country. So, a company that relies on the government as a client or, government contractors, they could be impacted too. Let's say, the security guard at the Smithsonian Aerospace Museum, that museum shuts down, she doesn't have a job. Or a construction worker who is doing a project on a government building, if the agency that hired him isn't funded, they can't pay, and he's got to put that project on pause. And the impact of this can trickle way down to small businesses. Like in 2019, baristas at Ascension Annex, which is a coffee shop right around the corner from the EPA in Dallas, said they rely on tips and none of their regulars were coming in to buy coffee because they were furloughed. They weren't going to work. The good news is we talked to Maya McGinnis, who's the president of the Committee on a Responsible Federal Budget, and she said most people will not be impacted. If you're going on vacation to a national park, you might be disappointed, but generally Americans won't feel the impact. However, she said the longer this lasts, the worse it could get.
Billionaires don't have to think about these issues. Millionaires don't have to think about these issues. High tax bracket makers don't have to worry about this issue. But the general public that does not make over $100,000, 90, 80, 70, have to worry about this issue at some point in time. So I just wanted to share some additional videos here of people going through this experience as far as the government shutdown is concerned. I hope it helps. Hope it gives you some insight on the numbers. Hope it gives you some insight on who is impacted, other issues that could come about. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.